All right, hey, what's up guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. All right, today I'm going to do a quick video on some 4-strong spacing concepts, real simple concepts, things that you probably already carry in your package that you're using, but I'm going to go through the reason why, especially as a defensive guy, I hate to see simple spacing concepts because it kind of picks on the rules of what you're trying to do with coverage, and then it gets you to adjust your coverages. Now that they get you to adjust your coverages, offense has the advantage because now they can dictate what they want to throw to the coverages you need to play to defend the spacing concepts. Make sure you check out some of our partners, GameStrat, Sideline Replay Company. We use at Bishop Kenny High School. I've used them at the last 2 schools that I've been at for the last 6 years. If you're looking for highly reliable, highly affordable, make sure you check out GameStrat. Dome Hats, Headwear Company. I use them, Play Fast Football, Bishop Kenny. Every job I've had in my high school career, I have been using Dome Hats for the last 16 or 17 years, going all the way back to my first job. If you're looking for customizable, you're looking for, business, small business friendly, team, program friendly, stock hats suck, make sure you check out Dome. Baker Sporting Goods, local company we use for our distributing fan gear, player gear, coaches gear, our sideline gear, our practice gear. They're in the shoulder pad world, big in the baseball world. Make sure you check out Baker Sports. DifferenceUSA, ultimate striking machine. Get thousands of reps, don't need a partner, set them up right in your weight room. If you want to strike violently, you got to work on striking violently. Why not do it with a DifferenceUSA machine where you don't have to have another player holding a bag, providing resistance? You can do it with the DifferenceUSA machine. Aren Consulting, all right, a group that works with coaches, keeping the head coach at the forefront of recruiting, working on educating families about the recruiting process, right? Not necessarily saying, hey, pay this money, we'll get you a scholarship. That's not the way the world works. We want to educate people on the recruiting process, the recruiting timeline, important NCAA dates, how to build college contacts, how to get things seen, what's the best way to get film and other things out there. The entire recruiting process, the education of the recruiting process, make sure you check them out. GETAREN.com. Dan and his guys are doing a great job. Highly recommend it. All right, Brandtek, a company located in Wisconsin. They have nutritional or supplements that you can use, sports drinks like their fizz drink that help you, all right, recover. They help provide you with the recovery that you need. They have fundraising platforms like their Change Up platform. They work with the Q Collar, all right, for player safety. Okay, they are custom sublimation. They're making a custom pair of sneakers, all right, for me, for Play Fast Football. So they are in, all right, the gear side of it as well. They have a disinfectant, a microbial that you can use on your uniforms and in your weight room and in your locker room to help with staph infection. So they have a bunch of different things that they do. Really unique company. Absolutely love those guys. Make sure you check out Brandtek. All right, and then FlyRouteDrones. Just recently partnered up with them. We use drones for our 7-on-7. We use drones for our practice. We use drones for everything we do in the summer. If you want that angle, all right, if you want to get that angle that you can't really get from your end zone cam, if you want something maybe that's a little bit easier setup than always dragging your end zone camera out to where you need to get to depending on how far it is to practice, make sure you check out FlyRouteDrones. They have online certification classes. They can teach you how to pilot a drone, how to use a drone, so make sure you check them out. Go to flyroute.com, promo code PlayFast, get 20% off of a certification for one of your coaches or, more importantly, one of your managers, right? People that are going to operate the drone. So, as a defensive coach, all right, I hate teams that are really effective at spacing and that will continue to throw spacing, concepts over and over again. First of all, I think a lot of high school quarterbacks can make these reads and they can make these throws. Second of all, based on the coverages that we are employing, right? So when we see 2 removed and we play our normal palms deal, technically by the distribution of the patterns, we really only have 2 underneath defenders. If they don't send 2 to the flat and bring the corner down, we really only have our middle safety and our nickel, or your Mike and your nickel, depending on the defense you're playing. When they can push a 3rd route out there and occupy those 2 underneath players, they can get a guy in space, all right? Because basically, when you really think about the passing game, if you split up the underneath zones of a coverage and you've got hook zones on each side, curl zones on each side, flat zones on each side. Well, to one side, if there's a hook zone, a curl zone, and a flat zone, all right, and you only have 2 underneath defenders, well then in the passing game, within the spacing world, all right, and you can trace this back to 50 years or almost back to Sid Gilman in the early passing game over 50 years ago. If you can put more players in the underneath zones than the defense has to cover, all right, then on paper, you should always have a guy open, right? So defenses have to teach guys to be hook to curl, curl to flat, right? Guys that are playing, they're trying to play 2 zones with one body, right? They're trying to play 2 zones with one body, cover things deep to short, rally to certain throws. So by flooding those underneath zones, all right, you are putting offensive players in areas that they don't have enough defensive guys to cover. Well, what happens then? The defense has to make coverage adjustments. We have to get either into some type of flooded zone, some type of spot drop deal where we add another player to the coverage. Well, what happens then? Offense starts to dictate the coverages that you're playing because of the routes and the throws that they're completing. So you either get into a man world, a spot drop world, and that creates other issues, right? That's the cat and mouse game of football. That's the cat and mouse game of coaching. But if you're a 3-by-1 team or you use 3-by-1, all right, I'm going to give you just 3 very simple spacing concepts that you can use that I think every quarterback can throw, every quarterback can read, and you're going to force the hand on the defense to kind of change how they play. Right, so the first one comes kind of, or the first 2 probably come kind of off your snag flat world, right? So they come out of your snag corner flat world. So the first one, all right, very simple. You get 1 on the snag. You get 3 on the inside spot to occupy the inside backer. You got 2 running the corner. You're pushing the back out to the flat, right? So what you're trying to say is you're going to try and force them. So if they're a team that's playing like a poach concept, okay, and they're playing a palm steal here, when you get push motion by the back, the nickel's probably responsible for the push, so the nickel has to push. That leaves a little bit of a burden on the snag. The Mike is going to join the push, all right? So when the Mike joins the push, now what happens is if the Mike joins the push, you're going to eat the Mike up, all right, with the spot route over the ball, all right? When the Mike gets eaten up by the spot route, the nickel now has to make a decision. You're putting a stretch on the nickel between the flare and the snag. So now what does the defense have to do? If they don't rotate the coverage down, they have to take the will from the backside, push everything strong to get 5-on-4. Now you're going to live in a world where if there's a poach player helping defend 3 vertical to the middle, you're going to get a lot of one-on-one concepts backside, right? So into all these things, you can build whatever your deal is, all right, on this side, whatever your option route deals, whatever your deal is to the solo guy because he's going to get man coverage, right? So versus this structure, we're going to force the defense to either push the will over to make it 5-on-4, so the will's got to get to the spot route, the Mike's got to work all the way to the snag, the Sam's going to work out with the back, right? So we're forcing the hand of the defense. If they want to flood this out, then they're going to have to rotate a safety down. So now when the safety rotates down, he's got the flat route, the nickel ends up with the snag, the Mike ends up with the spot, all right, and they've got that covered. But they've got that route concept covered. When they rotate the safeties down and they go to some type of one-high deal, all right, now the issue is they've got some seam issues. They've got some issues down the field that we can get guys on, right? So it's all about the defense trying to react to what the offense is doing. If this is their base coverage structure, pushing 4 strong with a simple spacing concept is going to make it, all right, really, really difficult on them to cover all those underneath zones, right? Because the only way they can get in this coverage concept, if nobody goes to the flat to bring the corner down, if the corner stays high to sink and help with the corner out of 2 because of his pattern match rules, all right, they really only have 3 underneath players for these 3 routes, okay, and now they have to shove the entire coverage that way to get the will there, the Mike there, the Sam there. A lot of guys running around, a lot of guys moving, all right, makes it kind of difficult for them to handle. All right, the next thing that you can do off very similar concept, all right, is you can run 2 all the way under on the spot. All right, you can switch the release by 3, and he can get out here and run, all right, that stick hitch, whatever you want to call it, burst 1 in to get him to the corner. All right, if you were a condensed split team, you could run 1 straight on the corner if you wanted to. If you're a normal split, all right, I don't think 1 on the corner, you can run vertical, 1 vertical if you want to. I like the burst corner out a little bit more. I think he gives you more options to possibly get 1 the ball. I think when you run 1 on vertical, all right, unless you're getting press man and giving your quarterback the opportunity to take that shot, I think 1 on vertical just becomes a runoff. We do it in certain things that I run on offense. We will do it, and we will only give the quarterback that choice if he's getting the right matchup, right, or the right coverage. I think the burst corner, all right, for a good route runner gives him a little bit better opportunity to get the football. You're still going to push 4 to the flat. right? So what are we creating? We're still creating, all right, that high corner route, all right? We're still creating that spot route. We're still creating a version of that snag route. We're still creating a version of that flat route, right? So we've adjusted some routes a little bit, but at the end of the day in the passing game, we're still basically saying to our guys, okay, we are going to end up, all right, with somebody here. We're going to end up with somebody here. We're going to end up with somebody there. We're going to end up with somebody there, right? So when you're teaching your quarterback or you're talking to your receivers about things, this is also a great way, like if you use condensed splits or bunch sets or things like that, when you teach it kind of in this theory, now guys can understand how they need to stem their routes to get to. One of the hardest things to me, and it's not, when I say hard, hard's probably the wrong word. Tedious is probably a better word. When you start using condensed splits, but you're throwing spacing concepts, kids need to understand that the spacing of the field is still the most important thing. So from that condensed or that bunch split, how do we get back? You've got the route, so coaches give you routes and say, hey, you got the snag, you got the spot, you got the corner, you got the flat. Okay. All right. When it gets condensed, all right, those routes now are still landmark routes. So I can't run those routes, or a receiver can't run these same routes from condensed splits. They become a different version of the route. All right. So when you're telling guys that, hey, look, I need that place, that place, that place, and that place. And if you give them landmarks, so if the spot is, hey, I need you over the front side guard, over the ball, whatever you need to do. The snag is, I need you to wrap on that nickel or whatever, Sam linebacker. The corner, I need you at this depth, this width. The flat route, I need you pushing to here. To me, it's a little bit easier to teach those kids. Route running and the passing game is never going to be set in stone to say, hey, stop at this sewer cap, go to that parked car and turn around, go to the telephone pole like you did in the street 30 years ago, all right, when people were playing football and throwing the ball in the street. If you did that, if you're as old as I am, and you threw the ball in the street, it's not as easy as that. There's so many moving pieces. Where you're lined up, are you bunched? Are you wide? Is coach doing something with your splits? You've got to know where you need to get to and the stem it takes to get you to that route, right? That's part of route running. That's part of teaching receivers. Not every route that's drawn in a playbook means I go exactly here, exactly there. Like to me as a receiver, all right, when I played college receiver back in the day, there's almost no route that's a straight line. Things get drawn in straight lines, but there's always stems, working leverage, trying to get myself a two-way go, trying to get to a landmark. What are the different ways I can get to this landmark to make this route look a little bit different but end up in the same spot for the quarterback, right? So that's all we're trying to do is we're trying to get guys in those spots, right? So you get the burst corner by one, you get the switch release here, all right, with the snag becoming this 3 switch release off the rub into the snag. You get 2 on the spot route there, right? Another way you can do it is kind of the mini curl world, which becomes essentially stick. All right, it's essentially just a 4-man version of stick concepts, right? So to me, I like it because I like it versus our base trips coverage. All right, now we are going to go vertical release by 1. We're going to get the mini curl or the stick route by 2. All right, instead of 3 to the flat, now 3 is going to run the spot, and now the back pushes to the flat. So now, again, what are we doing? We're getting a guy at check there, check there, check there, check there, right? So you're taking 3 very simple concepts, right, of spacing, and you're showing guys that, hey, in 3x1 with 4 strong, there's a bunch of different ways that we can get to this same concept, whatever your tags are, whatever your verbiage is for your routes. All you're doing is you're putting 4 guys in 4 spots, right? That's the easiest way that you could possibly say it, with eliminating coverages and eliminating, too much verbiage. Guys, look, we got 4 spots on the field that we got to get to. Here's a couple different ways we can get to it. However you call that is up to you. Whatever easier for you to teach, whatever it's easier for you to teach to your receivers, quarterbacks, whatever your deal is. To me, it's we got these 4 spots on the field that we got to get to. How are we going to get to them? What routes are we going to use? What's going to be the combination of these 4 players getting to those 4 spots? And then for the quarterback, you know that there's always going to be a player when we run, all right, this concept, there's always going to be a player in those spots. And now ultimately as the quarterback, all right, you need to throw to where the grass is. Where are they open? Defense is going to switch their coverages, right? If I drew up, to each one of these route concepts, you can draw up multiple coverage rotations and a different route concept might come open, right? If they go straight man, somebody's got to win in man-to-man because technically on paper, nothing comes open unless somebody wins because there aren't spots or there aren't grass, right? So spacing is a way that you can take care of, you know, your quarterback, your receivers, get guys grass, get guys the ball in open space, make the defense deploy a little bit differently, make them show their hand in coverage because they've got to flood it out or they've got to change what they're doing, right? So when you look at those 4 strong concepts, great way to live in 3x1. You can add some quarterback runs off of that if they're starting to push everything with the will and the might to get under these routes, right? So if they're starting to work all of these push deals where they're getting everybody over there, I think it's very simple for you to have some type of deal, all right, if you can win up front where you just combine it with some type of quarterback run, foot in the ground, you see all the push movement, we got quarterback runs, right? So all the things you can do to make it you know, extremely difficult on the defense with how they need to handle that because they only have certain answers. They rotate down and flood it out or they shove the coverage depending on what they're doing, all right? They've got to get the same amount of bodies in the underneath portion of coverage the same way that you are putting bodies there, right? The easiest way to look at this, all right, is if you looked at it in a simple 2x2 world or a 2 remove world and you look at it to palms coverage that virtually, I'm not going to say everybody, but most people around the country, high school football, college, some in the NFL, all right, if you're getting a deal where it's an adaptation of quarters to where there's a nickel, a corner, all right, a free safety, and let's say a Mike backer, okay, when you go with the simple versus this coverage, when you go with the spot, snag, flat, you could sit there in 7-on-7 and throw that combination versus that coverage the entire day and probably complete every ball. All right, there simply is no way for the defense with technically versus this pattern distribution. In this coverage, they have 2 underneath defenders, you have 3 underneath routes, right? So that's the most simplistic way that you can look at it. There's 3 routes versus 2 players. The offense should win every time. So what the defense has to do is the defense has to change the coverage. Somebody has to get down here to make it, all right, some type of 3-on-3. Or they have to choose to play some type of man coverage deal, right? So you're forcing a coverage adaptation to the defense. Every time you force the defense to change how they play coverages, you now give yourself other advantages, right? So if they were to spin a safety down and say, all right, well, look, we got 3 guys underneath. You're not throwing that crap anymore. Okay? Well, now when they do that, all right, now they've got to be able to handle the seam integrities that they have. All right? So now you're living in a 1-high world, all right, if it's 2x2, all right, and now you've got the possibility of getting guys, all right, if you can get guys up the pipe somewhere, well, now that they're 1-high and they rotate down, now they've got to handle seam integrity issues. So if this was the route concept and I was a defense and I said, well, there's only one way or maybe 2 ways we can handle that. We drop another defender down, right? Let's not talk coverages to say, hey, we would play this, we would play that. Let's just talk numbers. We either drop another player down to make it 3-on-3 or we play man-to-man and we match up. Well, if we're man-to-man and you're better than we are, now we're going to have issues. If we drop another player down to cover this concept, okay, if we cover this concept, right? So the way you need to look at it is every concept covered opens another concept, right? So I don't care who you talk to on defense. I don't care who you go to for your defensive information. I don't care who you study. Every coverage has some sort of issue, right? It's the offense's job, all right, to exploit that issue, to find where the issues are. Okay, so every concept that we cover, so they're going snag, spot, flat, we rotate down and we play 3D. That opens another concept for the offense. All right, so now it's a matter of the defense and the offense and the cat and mouse game of, all right, how consistent are you? Are you going to keep doing it to us? Are you going to make us change coverages? Can we disguise how we change coverages? And when we change coverage, can you then go to another concept that affects that coverage? Right? If the offense knows the coverage of the defense, they will always be able to draw some type of beater. Can they execute that? Maybe not. Is the game that simple? No. But on the board, in theory, on paper, it's always going to be that simple. If you know the coverage I'm playing, you can always put offensive players in spots where the quarterback should be able to make a read and complete a pass. Okay? That's kind of, to me, as simple as football works. My job on defense is I can't let you know what coverage we're in. I have to have enough coverage variations that might look the same, that rotate to something different. All right, and now it's the cat and mouse game between tendencies, down and distance, formations. What else can we do? What variations do we have? And do you know the variation we're in? Because if you know that I'm playing palms, all right, if you know that I'm playing two read, and you know when you come out in a certain formation that you're going to get us into two read. If you know we're in that, there's plenty of beaters you can draw. This happens to be one of them, one of my favorites. All right, in 7-on-7, you can do that the entire time. All right, once you start doing that, all right, if you can get the mic to start moving before they rotate, you get the mic to start moving. Now you can get some deals going off the backside. Now you can get some deals where if you got a really good route runner here, you can win up the pipe and you can keep this guy on the outside fin because you're reading off the mic. The mic leaves. Now we're going to win off the will. Okay, so all these little issues, all these little things that you run into, to me, on offense, the bottom line is if you know what the defense is in, you could always draw up a coverage beater. Right? That's what makes this game fun. That's what makes it unique. I got to come up with ways to adjust my coverages. I got to come up with ways to play coverages that you don't know that I'm in. Because if you know I'm in them, you're always going to beat them. Spacing is an easy way to do that. If you know you're playing some teams that are pattern match, if you know you're playing some teams where you can outnumber them on the underneath zones, remember, hook, curl, flat, they got 2 underneath players, you got 3 players. No way they should be able to cover it. Right now it's just a matter of spacing, discipline, quarterback being able to understand that the ball goes where the defense says it's going to go. Right? Ultimately, that's the thing I try to explain to people all the time. Quarterback releases the ball. He makes a decision on where it goes. But in my opinion, I think about it the opposite way. By the defense choosing what coverage they're playing and then the defense adjusting to routes in coverage, they're going to be the ones that dictate where the ball goes. They're going to be the ones that say, hey, we can't cover all these routes, so we're going to cover them deep to short. You're going to throw that, and we're going to route. Yes, the quarterback will ultimately make the decision on where the ball goes. I get that point. All right, I'm not completely ignorant, but I like to think about it a little bit differently. Defense, by coverage they play, how they play the coverage, they'll be the ones that tells you where the ball should go. Quarterback just reacts to what the defense does, and he puts the ball, all right, in open spaces. I've done some work with Noel Mazzone in the past. Love all his stuff, love what he does. 15 years ago, I heard him at a clinic, all right, and he talked about IHO. Is he open? All right, you tell the quarterback on certain routes, is he open? If that guy's open, that's who gets the football. Don't make it any more complicated than that. So if you are trying to throw the ball, you want success throwing the ball, spacing concepts, 3x1 spacing concepts, easy way to exploit the defense. Couple different options, a couple different ways to get guys into spots. Remember, when you think about it, there's 4 spots you're trying to get to. Draw up different splits, constraints, motion guys in, motion guys out, the 3x1, create bunches, get 4 guys to those 4 spots, get the quarterback to throw the ball to the guy that the defense can't cover. I hope this video helps you guys out. I know it's been a little while since we've done some offensive stuff. I am a defensive coordinator now, so I don't do as much offensive stuff anymore because I don't call offense. But every once in a while, from time to time, if I get an itch, I like to draw some stuff up based on things that I'm seeing, things that I'm dealing with. And right now, in some of the work we're doing in the off season, I'm getting some of the spacing stuff to our palms and our pattern match quarters type deals, and it is giving us some issues. So it was fresh on my brain, so I figured I'd do a video. Remember, you've got to subscribe. You don't have to, but I would like you to subscribe. Click that subscribe button. Turn your notifications on so you know every time a video comes out or we jump on YouTube Live. Slight chance I might be on YouTube Live tonight, depending on my schedule. All right, thumbs up, thumbs down if you like this or don't like it. Comments, every time you comment, I try to respond. I just responded to 2 comments today. One about four techniques, slanting, pitching, pinching, what's the difference in my opinion. And then another one about a team trying to go to 3 high. Here's how we want to do it. So if you leave a comment, I will always try to respond. Remember, all right, sting8740@gmail.com. I've got 20 hours of football on private links, unlisted links on my YouTube channel, clinics that I've done, other people have done for me, virtual clinics, Zoom meetings, 20 hours of football, $15. Email me. I will get you every link. Once I get you the link, you can share it with your coaching staff, share it with other people. I don't track where it goes. I have no idea where it goes. If you get the link, you can then share it with anybody you want. So 20 hours of football for $15. So hope everything's going well for you guys. If you're a teacher, we're almost there. You're almost to summer break. If you're a football coach and you have spring football, football's starting to become relevant that time of year again. March Madness just ended. The NBA playoffs are about to end. Baseball just started. The draft's coming up. We're getting back into that mode of football again. So hang in there. Everything's going to be okay. I hope you guys are doing all right. I appreciate everything you do for me, and play fast. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. I will see you next time.